Welcome back, everybody, to episode 7 of In the Garden Gaming. And today's episode is all things Monster Hunter Wilds. We've all played it a ton. We've all got at least, 40, 50 hours minimum here. I think, Breezy, you've got the least playtime at what's your playtime?
I just
4
broke
minutes.
40.
Okay.
4 minutes. 40 minutes. I got bored.
So we've all sunk a considerable amount of time into Monster Hunter Wilds and played it together, some of us more than others, but we've all gotten the chance to hunt monsters together and make it into the end game and high rank and stuff. So yeah, I mean, we've got a lot to talk about. Where do you guys think we should start? Probably good things first, right? What's a good one? What's everybody's favorite new thing? If you can pick one thing that you like.
The cheese.
Cheese being able to stun locking the monsters and the...
No. I'm talking about the Kanafa cheese that you can put on your food.
I thought you meant like cheese in them.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm writing that down.
That cheese is really good.
Yeah, and everybody likes the cheese naan, that's selling out in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, it's like selling out.
I'm so sad. The place where I'm at now doesn't have a good spot with like great naan, but when I lived in San Francisco proper, I used to get such good cheese naan. It was so good.
Well,
I miss it. Oh, it's so good. It's so
cheese
good.
naan,
especially if you get it like garlicky too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's like eating like a stuffed crust cheese pizza, but without the pizza portion, and so like it's just like
it's so good. It's like stuffed cheese bread, but better.
10 times better.
That sounds amazing.
But anyway, moving on from cheese. Before we put anyone on the spot, I know my favorite thing, so I guess I'll start with my favorite thing is the focus attack, or just the focus mode. Being able to aim my larger attacks as a charge blade main, not whiffing my amped elemental discharges or super amped elemental discharges pretty much ever is nice. I have some issues that stem from that, but generally speaking, that's my favorite thing. So
I think the focus system. Is a great addition. I think it's just a bit overtuned currently in its current form, and like who knows what that looks like come master rank, G rank, whatever. Like who knows what that looks like? But
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
I think with my with the focus mode and the focus attack system, since I guess we'll get into it since I mentioned it already. My thing with it is I think it's twofold in how it's overtuned. I don't think it's overtuned in just one direction. It's overtuned in the sense that it feels as though the wound attacks, breaking wounds, and all that comes from the focus attack from the focus mode is that part in itself is overtuned. You are able to stagger monsters, cancel them out of attacks, stun them, just knock them over constantly. There's sometimes if you get them, you can just get it to where even the toughest of monsters, you will have fights where you can loop them for a couple of minutes and they are just perma-staggered. But the other half of that is that the focus attack system makes it so that, for anyone who is not already like a master at Monster Hunter, you've gone from missing a substantial number of attacks to basically never missing. And it feels as though the monsters haven't been made stronger in a way that accounts for that. So, for example, I'm pretty comfortable on my charge blade. I've played pretty much just that across 2 games for like over 150 hours now between Rise and Wilds. I didn't play it much in World because I didn't play that game as much. But I'm going from the super amped elemental discharge, your biggest cinematic ball buster unga bunga attack. The way that would animation lock you and trying to hit that, there were times where, monsters would just constantly wiggle out of it or step 1 foot to the side and you'd whiff. I was hitting 1 in 3, 1 in, every other one if I was lucky. Now I'm whiffing, or now I'm hitting 9 out of 10 of them. I'm very rarely, very ever missing them. Same for Greatsword, I'm sure, with Breezy, where your true charge strikes are just, you have these massive attacks where the whole risk reward of it was that they were really hard to line up and find the timing for them, not just to not get hit, but to actually just be close enough to hit the monster and learn its movement patterns and stuff. So
Yeah,
that's
like
the other side of it, where we're just able to output damage so much more consistently because of that, and the monsters don't feel like they've been buffed up to account for that either. So it's those together, I think, are why we're dealing with some issues with it being a little easy. But we'll get on to that in a little bit. Let's go to more good things. Breezy,
Yeah, I was
what
about
do
to
you
say
like?
those good things didn't last
Yeah,
too
no,
long.
I didn't want to Jade, I didn't want to change the topic on Jada because she was making a good point about it. So let's go back to
Yeah,
good
yeah.
things. Breezy, what do you like the most right now?
I mean, you already said the focus system, and I like being able to repurpose, but yeah, it's a little overtuned. I think, um, unexpectedly, even though I skipped a lot of the narrative, I did go back and like rewatch some of the cutscenes and like relook, and I did enjoy how much they put effort into the story this time around. Which for Monster Hunter, the bar is like in hell, but it's a little nicer that with every subsequent installment we get a little more story, and it's a little better, but it's still not very good. I think eventually we could get to a point to where they have good stories too. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's the baby steps.
All right,
Yeah.
Jada, what's your favorite thing?
I said the cheese, man. The cheese.
Oh, cheese. Yes, sorry. I was going across my screen. I was going in order. It was me, Breezy.
No,
and Jada.
you're good. I would say probably the sacred would probably be where I would go if I was picking something different. I really love the mobility of the sacred, as well as the extra customization it kind of gives you with the second weapon system now, so you can swap weapons mid-fight. I don't do it super often, but I know there are some people that do and enjoy that. It also has that extra little stash of items, so sometimes if you just, I didn't bring antidotes and I got poisoned, you can hop on your sacred, and sometimes there's antidotes in there.
Mhm.
So it's nice for those little things. It also gives you great recovery to dodge the big hits. There's iframes on it.
Mhm.
It is very strong, and it's a tool that people will need to utilize, I think, once we get to the Master G rank stuff, when
Oh
there
yeah, I
are
am
bigger
like
hits. And
KG and
I
sorry, keep on.
Mhm.
Didn't mean to.
I was
I
gonna
need to
say,
stop doing that.
I can only imagine there's going to be certain situations where you're fighting a giant monster, like on the scale of like a Fatalis or something, and you need to hop on your sacred to reach the safe zone, because it's going to erupt faster than you could run to it.
Mhm.
So I think that's probably my favorite. Also, the sacreds they're awesome. You can glide them, you can drift them, they are a little dumb sometimes and they run into walls on occasion, but
Mine gets stuck, and sometimes he's unresponsive. But we'll talk
these
about
little
complaint.
loops
We'll
where
talk
it's
about
just like it runs
we'll
into
talk
a
about.
wall and it's like back
I'll
and
get
forth,
to
back and
my
forth.
complaints later because that's a whole other discussion. Lemon, favorite thing.
This might be controversial, but I don't like the auto move. Like, it's just the utility of it, just quality of life stuff. Like, I noticed when playing Rise, it would take me a really long time to get to places because I would forget the most optimal route. But I can just like press up and then see the most optimal route in Wilds. And then also for gathering items too, you can like select one of those as your target, and it'll also give you the most optimal route for it. And I really appreciate those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it when games.
I like being able to
extra
sling.
time.
I like being able to gather some items with your sling while riding along. It's
That too, yeah.
little convenience feature.
Yeah, that does feel really good. Yeah.
And I like the one thing I do like about auto move. I have mixed feelings about it because sometimes it pisses me off. But one thing I do like about it, I like that when I'm like trying to do something in combat, like I'm trying to heal up or use my whetstone or whatever, that my sacred will kind of like continue moving on its own. It's like one less like thing on the mental stack to worry about, is like keeping him moving. So yeah, just like at the very least, he's not always moving in a direction I want, and sometimes you need to correct that, but at least he's not standing still ready to take something to the face. KG, favorite thing.
Oh man, favorite thing in Monster
Karting,
Hunter
for sure.
Wilds.
Definitely karting, right?
Yeah, maybe second favorite thing. That'll be my second favorite thing is karting, and have my custom shout outs go out. But my favorite thing in Wilds, Probably just the new moves for each weapons. I think they've
Mm.
added a lot of really good. I think this is the monster hunter that you have the most control over the monsters, for better or worse, and how you're able to manipulate them with
Mhm.
each weapon. Like the offset attacks, the guard clashes, the power clashes, the wound system with focus mode. I think they've added like a lot of really cool uh, opportunities for each weapon to sort of be able to dominate
Yeah, you
basically
can interact
each
in cool
fight.
ways.
Gives them all like
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool ways to shine in the
Mhm.
middle of the
Yes,
chaos.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said,
Everybody
for
get
better
a
or
lot of
worse,
almost everybody gets a hero moment, is what I call it.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And like watching, a friend, guard power clash a monster, or watching someone do like a really cool offset attack on a monster to stagger them momentarily is really cool to see in multiplayer. Just how many ways you can directly have an impact on the hunt as an individual is
Mhm.
really satisfying. So I'll say that's probably my favorite thing about Monster Hunter Wilds. Second to karting, of course. Uh, karting is a favorite pastime of mine, as as living in bonsai might know. I don't know if uh we said this, but the quality of life features as well
Hmm.
are
Oh,
up
speaking
there
of quality
too.
of life, there's my second favorite thing would have to be I have some issues with the structure of the mission system stuff right now, but I do really like the ability to save and I don't know if this has been around before, but the ability to see a monster on your map and save it as an investigation and then like you can you
Yeah.
get to do that. You fight up to 3 times and get the rewards for it. So if you see a monster with a thing you really like a gem listed as one of the rewards, or it's just a fight you've been trying to find. Um, so I have my
Mm.
investigations tab is full of tempered variants of all the Apex monsters and ones with
So
different rewards and all that.
investigations have been a thing for quite a while now.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
remember exactly how they worked in Rise, but essentially, from what I recall in World, is after you would complete certain missions, I believe you could set them as investigations, or you could pay resources to buy investigations. Kind of similar how you do in Wilds, but I don't think you had to like be out and spot the monster. It's been a couple of years since I've
Well, and
played
the
World.
nice
I'd
thing
have
too
to
is you
check
can
that.
actually
But
just go on your world map and you can
mhm.
hover over each zone, and from there you can just tap square and
Yep,
select the monsters.
it's
And yeah,
never been easier for
yeah, I
sure.
think I think that
That is
feature of just like
Mhm.
knowing where what you're looking for is and being able to reset them, and I think that part of it is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what should we talk about? Our least favorite things? Should we go into just overall thoughts and feelings? What do you guys want? Where do you want to keep going with this?
Oh man,
Probably
all in
keep it a
all,
little
yeah.
more positive. Just
Yeah,
keep riding the wave a little bit. Then we get a little nitpicky later on,
yeah,
but
we
right now
can
just
talk about our issues in a bit.
Let's add
Okay.
some more sugar to this
Yeah,
medicine, you know.
let's
yeah.
okay. Other good things. The armor has never looked better. Uh,
Yeah,
there are so
yeah.
many
Mhm.
there are so many cloth physics on my freaking armor set that it'd crash a PS4. I love it. Um, armor looks great. Moving around, just the way your character's connected to the ground and stuff, your movement, your little bit of momentum and inertia and stuff, it all feels very smooth. I've been hopping back and forth between Rise and Wilds, and that was one thing that I was like, oh, this element of it does feel really polished. Just the way you run around and stuff just feels really nice. Um, yeah,
It's
other
it's
things.
also the most cinematic that Monster Hunter's ever been, inside of combat and out.
True.
Like they
Yeah,
World and Rise
yeah,
had really good cutscene moments that were very cinematic and felt larger than life. But now you get those in combat now as well. And
yeah.
that's like that
I
was
say
the other thing I was
Rise. I'd say Rise kind of started that. Like we had a lot of that in Rise, but Wilds has taken it up a notch with like the guard clashes and like stuff like that. Like we're definitely seeing more of it.
but yeah, I love the cinematic, and it helps that it's on a powerhouse, like it's on the powerhouse build, the world kind of style. It's got those
Hmm.
nicer the nicer graphics. The forests are lusher. The desert is a desert.
Speaking of
Nothing,
graphics,
there's nothing you're ever going to do to make a
has
desert look
everyone
amazing.
here now? We should talk about this real quick. Has everybody here now gone and turned down their brightness settings to fix the damn game? Have you?
I
Because
don't know
we,
what you mean.
if you the KG was the first one to. I noticed it, but I couldn't understand what was going on. Breezu and I've talked about it too. The game is, if you follow the baseline recommended, like the way that you use the tool to adjust your brightness, it's completely broken. Like if you follow that, you get the game's incredibly washed out. Like,
I mean, I never follow that thing to a T. I set it to where I know it looks good. Like,
well, like
you're talking
we
about
don't.
you're
They
talking
don't
about,
give
like,
you any.
match
They
it
don't
to
give you
where
any like reference. So it's like, okay, use this guide, and it's like it's broken. And the thing is it's if you for most. I don't know if this is for most people, but at least for 2 or 3 of us, we had to crank the brightness way down, or the entire game is washed out. Like it's like its default brightness is through the roof. Like, and there's even now I saw on Twitter earlier today because Maximilian dude had posted. There's now a mod to remove. There's some kind of post-processing effect that is creating the haze that we've been talking about. There is something about it that it's like there's something sucking the like vibrance out of it, and it's there. Let me see if I can find the thread for what post-processing effect it is that the mod adjusts. But yeah, it's like a very simple fix, and they apparently got it sorted on PC. But I've seen posts on Twitter like it's very bold of Monster Hunter Wilds to go from world to beige, something along those lines, like a lot of that. Just because if you compare even just the jungle of Wilds to like the jungle environment of Wild or World to Wilds, it's night and day. I mean, it's like someone sucked all the saturation out of the game. It's very strange. So let me see if I can find this real quick. Anyway,
and like I don't quote me on this, but like I think I have a theory that it's just the way that the RE engine handles the lighting. Because if you look back to even like Resident Evil 7, that game also has a little bit of like the same kind of haze you see in Monster Hunter Wilds. It's not nearly to the same extent, and I think that the RE engine, because Dragon's Dogma 2 also looked like it. I think the RE engine being pushed to its extreme before it needs to be reasonably upgraded, and then with a kind of a weird HDR implementation that Wilds has, I think overall it just gave it that weird tint to it that kind of looks like Breaking Bad a little bit.
so just to now that I found the thread real quick. So it sounds like what they're disabling to make it look more vibrant is there's a lens distortion effect. It's giving like it's softening the game a lot. The top comment under this is, how did you get the colors so vibrant? Mine look incredibly washed out. And the response is, go into your brightness HDR settings and do it till it looks right. Don't follow the default. So yeah.
I have to be upfront. I don't ever use HDR in my games.
Oh yeah, no,
think
same.
HDR
Most people know HDR is very poorly tuned for games. So we'll disclaimer, yeah, don't use HDR.
It also like ruins capture. Like if you try to if you have HDR and you go to capture, your colors are always just destroyed. So
yeah, so that aside, yeah, it sounds like basically the tuning tool that they give you at the default, if you follow that, like, and just go into the game, look at the forest or whatever, and adjust it till it looks right to you. Don't base it on that very first before you even saw the game and asked you to adjust brightness.
I don't know if
I've
ever even followed those guides that are in basically
they normally work really well, like especially when I compare them between my recording and like my gameplay, because my screens are both different, and then the software and the capture and stuff, so I kind of see it across 2 different screens, and I adjust my brightness for the recording. But generally speaking, those guides work pretty damn well, and that's why it's kind of an anomaly that this one just washed it all out for everybody.
I generally, most of the time, like I'm not doubting that it works and that they work well in most games. I generally, most of the time, I just leave it at the default setting, and my game looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I overtune it like to the point where like yeah, I could see that. I could see that 1 pixel of black in that.
I always do it that way because I always think of it like, especially if they give me a scene to compare. Like it's like if I'm in a game that like, part of that game's supposed to be dark, right? I always think of it contextually. Like I adjust it to where like what the mood of the game I'm playing is supposed to be.
For sure.
Right.
Makes sense.
But yeah, like it was just so it seems like that was an issue for some of us that followed followed their little brightness guide. But yeah, it still sounds like because we're still noticing it. There's some kind of thing, and it sounds like they're just describing it as lens distortion, and that's what the mod's removing because I can see it right here. I mean, the game just like it's a very simple effect, and the game looks so much more vibrant. It's kind of crazy. But I don't know. Maybe that's a performance thing. Maybe they're having that on to, that's on by default because the consoles or whatever. That's the build they have. Who knows?
Man, we just can't stay on the good things about this game.
I was gonna
It's,
say,
it got negative
I
real
don't
fast.
remember what we were talking about.
Let's go.
Where were we at?
hard mode.
I'm back to other good things.
Challenge impossible.
I don't want our bias. Our bias is starting to show, guys. I was trying to like keep it a little bit.
It is.
I was trying to wrap it up a little bit more. I mean, I think in general though, like we can all agree, it's a great game. Like even like Monster Hunter. Before we get into before we get into our deeper complaints and stuff, Monster Hunter at its core, the formula for Monster Hunter is solid. It's hard to mess it up at this point. They know what they're doing. Still great because it's Monster Hunter. You know, that aside, I think we all do have some pretty sizable complaints. Well, I won't speak for everyone here, but I know that I do. I have some issues with it that I definitely will talk about here, but also I'm probably going to end up addressing in my video talking about Wilds, just because I've now been hopping back and forth between Rise the last 2 days a little bit, and been just comparing and contrasting just different elements of the game, and it's one of those things where right now my takeaway with Wilds is that it feels like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and I'm just it's like for every great thing that's new and that feels like an awesome addition, there's a feature or an element of the game that just feels like, wait, you already had this done well. Why'd you change it or remove it? Like, or make it different in a way that's now like, we can talk about, like, they've already acknowledged that they're going to add a gathering hub because we all know that the current system for grouping up, it works, it's functional, you can do it, but it can be pretty tedious. It's got some obnoxious quirks, some elements. It's like, go ahead,
it's not straightforward. It's not as simple as just joining a lobby.
And Monster Hunter has always been this very, it's very multiplayer centric. Joining the Gathering Hub, it's one of the things where I'm all for innovation, but in this instance, I think we can all agree if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? The Gathering Hubs work the way
if we're being fair, it's always kind of been a little bad.
I was gonna say,
got it right, but
I mean, so, and I will say, like, for context, Rise is the one I spent the most time with before this, so like a lot of my points of comparison are not going to be to what it was 5-6 years ago or anything before that, or even World. Most of my memories of the game are, I've spent 30, 40, maybe 50 hours in World at most, but my most recent memories of the game before Wilds were with Rise. And the Gathering Hub just works flawlessly in Rise. It's incredibly efficient. Everything you want is right there. Everything you need is close by. It's easy to navigate.
I think
it's very straightforward.
I think that the issue isn't with the new systems in Wilds. I think the new systems in Wilds are great additions. I think the issue is in the UI as well as how it is communicated. That's a big part of it, how it is communicated to players. I think that is where the issue is, because I think that the Link Party and environmental link systems are much better than the Gathering Hub we've gotten in the past. Because in the past, if you were playing with friends, you would go into the Gathering Hub, and then you would set a quest, and then everybody would have to go up to the counter and then join, and then click and find that quest and join it. And if you're in a multiplayer lobby with 100 players,
they fixed that in Rise. It was as simple as someone went and posted a quest, and then you would just join the quest. Like if you're playing with your friend or whatever, you just join their quest immediately. Like it's right there at the top. It's you have to post.
It's been a while since I've played.
So it was a quest board. So you had a posting system, and then
that's what I'm talking about.
So you would post your quest, but the only quests that would show up when you went to the quest board were the quests that the people in your immediate lobby had posted. So it was just
that's what I'm saying. But if you're in a lobby with like 100 people, like if you didn't set up a private lobby with just your people that you were planning on playing with,
could you have like
I don't think
lobbies
so.
that big?
I don't think Rise had 100 player lobbies, but World had big lobbies. Probably not 100 players, but I'm saying like World would have like say you'd be in a server with 16 to 25 people. I don't remember the exact.
Okay, yeah. See, I think that the
yeah.
Rise was more, I think, like peer to peer, where it was just like you had, I think, as many people as could be on a hunt was your lobby size. So it was 4.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a Switch. It was on Switch initially,
Yeah.
so that makes sense that it was probably more limited. But in the past, I'm talking Monster Hunter 2, 3,
You had
4.
You could have a bunch of extra people posting their quests all at the same time.
4 probably wasn't as big as well because it was on handheld and but yeah. But essentially what it was like you said, you'd go up to a quest board, you'd post the quest, and then other people would go up to the quest board and click join, right? That's pretty much how it works. The new systems in Rise with the link party removes you having to go find the board and do that. You can do it wherever you're at. If you're out in the field just gathering supplies, you can be like, oh, Bond started a quest. I can just jump right in immediately. I can go.
Yeah, the
go
convenience.
grab
there's an awesome amount of convenience to that, and I think the idea they have for it is right. I think the feeling of a missing the gathering hub largely comes from the lack of like the community aspect of it, where you're all sitting down eating a meal together and then you can launch the quest straight from the meal table as soon as you finish, and it's like that system was cute, and having all your essentials in a single place is really nice because Wilds, I get what they're going for. They want you to go to the different places, but like some of your essentials are in completely different areas.
Well, you have to remember, I don't Rise had it all in one central location. World didn't until the Iceborne expansion. In World, they had things,
and I think
like
KG wanted to mention this because I didn't get to play Iceborne, but KG had some thoughts about how your expectations based on Worlds, based on Iceborne's structure, kind of what you were hoping for from Wilds that didn't quite line up, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That was well, it was mostly in regards to how they did their open world rather than
okay, well,
their gathering hub. I did have an idea
for
the I did have an idea for the gathering hub for Wilds, but I think like Jada was saying before Iceborne, there were some features and stuff missing from World's base game gathering hub that like you did have to go down from the gathering hub to your main to Astera, I think it was called.
Yep.
To do, I think it was mostly the smithy and
if you wanted to craft weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but like it was that was just down the elevator from the hub, wasn't it?
It's still still required like
still a loading
zoning.
screen.
You still have to zone though.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's still a separate zone.
And like that's always been a thing. Like I
think Wilds has just exasperated it because you have a couple of essential unique vendors and stuff that are only in one of 5 locations now. So like that made it even worse. Where like it's like, oh, you have to go to each of these different places if you want to check in on each of these things, and it's like, good God.
Yeah, I don't like how the provisions, the support ship, is only at the Windward Plains.
Yeah, and like the melding, the melding pot,
default one,
the melding pot's only in one location. The ore smelting's only in one location.
But that's how it's been for a while when it comes to Monster Hunter. In
Rise, it was all in one spot. That was the nice thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Recently, they've added that like I said, with World, when it came to the Iceborne expansion, they gave you the new hub area. And that had everything. It had your melting pot,
and so
it had your crafting, it had the little mini game with the cats that you could play to like.
So then I would assume that like
gambling.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like, based on what I'm hearing, like Rise sounds like both of these back and forth of these two teams, they borrow a lot from each other. It sounds like Rise borrowed that structure from Iceborne, because that's exactly what it was like, where you have everything all in one central location, and like you can just flit about and grab all the essentials you need. It's never more than a single, a short walk away. It's one of those things where it's like, I can see how it might not be a trend on just 2 titles, but for me, it's like, it seems like they're like, oh, this is better, this is more convenient. We understand that we're taking it this direction, and then Wilds is like, no. Right, but now they're adding it. So it gives me the sense that, like, and I don't think my theory with this is that I don't think they're just adding it because people have been asking for it on Twitter and shit.
No,
I think
not at all.
it's been in the works. I really suspect that this game, despite how good it is, it feels rushed in a lot of ways. Like, in spite of it's weird to say that about a great game, but there's just elements of it like that where it's like, it's clear that this is something that they probably wanted day one and just didn't make the cut, and it feels like there's a lot of that there. We can talk about we can talk about more of that right now, or we can go into something else, but I've just noticed that, like,
I don't know if rushed is the right word. I think it's more of a matter of being at a point of launching with the things that they wanted for their vision. I understand the frustration, trust me, because I feel it when it comes to not having all of my things in one hub world. And don't get me started on what's her name in Azu's offering you a meal, and she's just in the in the freaking house sleeping, and I'm just like, why would you offer me a meal and then go take a nap, girl? Like, come on.
And I see it's more than just
and
the hub stuff. I see it more from, like, I feel like that
well, oh, no,
that
but
sentiment comes from. Sorry, I don't want to.
no, yeah, but I'm saying, yeah, in general, and I understand, like, obviously there's no arena where you have set weapons and such, that like challenge you for time limit, and that's where you got like those other special materials to craft other armors, and no gathering hub, and there's a lot of things that are, I would say, core to Monster Hunter that aren't there. I wouldn't say it's rushed. I would say that they're probably waiting to roll that out because they're making this title the most accessible. And if they have the arena and all these other things thrown into one area, that adds to the level of complexity of Monster
I'm
Hunter.
going to be a pedant here and say I think they're making this the most approachable, not the most accessible.
No, yes. Sorry. If I said accessible, yes. It is definitely the most approachable, not accessible. It does have some good accessibility settings in there as well, for those who have accessibility needs. But yes, it is definitely the most approachable Monster Hunter. They're making it the easiest to get into as possible. And when you add these other things, other layers in there, us who have played a Monster Hunter in the past, we understand what to do, what those things are for, and what they're there for.
Yeah.
But the 900,000 other players that joined day one compared to World joining day one, like, it's.
So my question is, if the next game made it even more approachable, how would you feel about that?
It depends on where they're shaving off again. It just depends.
Because for me, I feel like we're kind of on this, like, and it's one of those things where I don't get to know because I can't ask the developers and they can't tell me what their intentions are, right? So, but I've been getting the feeling in a lot of ways that, like, on some level, there's the element of each game seems like it just, because of the nature of the industry right now, every game has to do better than the last. It doesn't matter that Monster Hunter World sold 20 million copies, right? Monster Hunter Wilds needs to sell more than 20 million copies. And how do you do that? You get more people into it. And how do you, and so far it seems like their way of getting more people into it is by making things more approachable. But as you described it,
there's in general.
I think to some extent, but I also think that when you shave elements off to make things more approachable, right, you still sacrifice a lot of the qualities that make it beloved, what makes people really stick with it, right? And, like, my take on it is that, if they're doing it because the people that made this game just feel like the game really could just be a more approachable game, that's their vision for Monster Hunter, is they want everyone everywhere to love it and they want anybody anywhere to be able to get into it, then great, then I support them. But my feeling is that it's more based on games have to sell more than the last one. We need to get more people in, and rather than count on people that love it supporting it and giving it good word of mouth, we're going to make it as easy for people to get into as possible.
I mean,
at the
that's the industry
expense of
right now.
anybody who already loves it. Yeah, exactly.
I
Like
mean,
that's a
the
bigger
industry.
conversation we can have.
It's definitely a bigger macro conversation around the industry. And when you see, obviously, Capcom is no small potatoes developer. They've are one of the biggest in the game. They've been doing this for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So like Capcom, they have a little bit more agency when it comes to that sort of thing. But still, at the end of the day, you they want more players to come in and play their game. They want them to,
and I understand that from a business perspective, right?
Yeah, and like
But I
I think it's
also
not even a business perspective, like not even like a financial perspective for them coming in, having players come in. They just want more people playing their games.
True, but I also think that I feel like there's two paths towards that we've seen games take, and that the common and the more popular one right now has been making things more approachable. But I do think that the flip side of that is games that the alternative being, if you could have a game get more players in by being more approachable rather than iterating and deepening and evolving on the what is already beloved about it, approachability be damned for the next one, right? You create the thing that people truly stick with for a long time. You create those experiences that make people obsessed and turn something like World into the massive global success that it was. It's the people that could put 2,000 hours into it because it had that, right?
I'm not denying that.
I think that I would like to see that be the approach that they can take. It seems like it's just as successful. It seems like so many of these games. I mean, Elden Ring and the Soulsborne games, and a difficulty and a lack of approachability isn't a barrier to games being successful.
I would say you can't even use Elden Ring if you're arguing about approachability, because I think Elden Ring is the most approachable Souls games they've ever made.
Yeah, I think there's an element.
Think about it. They added a much better fast travel system.
I agree and disagree.
With the amount you can ride around.
If I agree with you, but if someone said that they think it's not that much more approachable or not any more approachable, I would also agree with them, because it depends on where you're at with the game and where you're in it, right? I think that the difficulty curve of Elden Ring is the least approachable the series has ever been, but there are elements of the game that I do think make it far more approachable than the series has ever been. I think it's twofold. So, like, there's two sides to that.
I understand where you're coming from with the Elden Ring portion of saying it, because it doesn't have those kind of like preset paths that we're used to in previous older Souls games, where it's like, hey, you're supposed to go to this area before you go to Blight Town, or before you go to Anorlando. I can't remember.
Anorlando, yeah.
Anorlando. I can never remember how to say it. Stupid thing. Place. And so like when you're playing those ones, you're like, oh, I need to go through here first. It's very obvious to you. And I understand where the confusion with Elden Ring, because it's so open. It's like, oh, well, I just ended up at the castle and I'm level 4.
And see, I don't see it as I see them black. I see it more as Elden Ring, in spite being more approachable, I think balances that on the knife's edge of in the later parts of the game, as it gets more challenging, as it ramps up, it still offers what Souls is. Again, I'm speaking secondhand because I haven't played into Elden Ring that much for my own issues with it, but like, by all accounts, it leans into offering that we don't give a shit, we're gonna beat your ass.
I mean, that is, I would say,
I think people love it for that.
I'm agreeing with you on this point, and I'm saying I think Monster Hunter and Elden Ring are the same thing, but are the same coin, but opposite sides of that coin. Where I think Monster Hunter really did kind of scale back a lot of that challenge, not necessarily probably intentionally.
I hope it's not intentionally.
But based on just kind of the way they went about making it more approachable versus how Elden Ring went about making their game more
I would like to hope that realistically, Monster Hunter Wilds, so much of it is, like you said, there's a world where this can all feasibly be tuned. My concern is if they tune it the way we want it, the difficulty curve now just gets broken, but that's its own issue. I just think that, like you said, you could definitely adjust it. But realistically, a lot of our issues with Monster Hunter Wilds being too easy is you could simply make the monsters a little bit more difficult to stagger and make them just give them bigger health pools. We're able to do so much more damage so much faster than ever before.
Also, I want to nitpick, and this is such a like elitist kind of gatekeeping
No,
kind of thing
this
for
is
me
what we're here for.
that I
That's what
want
my
that I
that's
wanted
what
to
my
This is a
talk
safe
about.
space.
you're
Like,
on my
so-
side. This is
Yeah.
what my whole video is going to be about: gatekeeping, ethical gatekeeping.
It's not even
Challenge
like
is good.
it's not even like that. I'm gate like it's not meant to be a gatekeeping kind of comment. But I see so many people. Like I saw an article about like
Apologies.
one of the most popular mods right now is adding a health bar to
Oh
the
my
monster.
god, we don't even.
And yeah, and
Get me
like
started.
You want to talk
absolutely-
about elitist? The one mod I want is I want a damage meter because and people say that's elitist because people will use it to be toxic, and I'm like, I don't care. I want to see if I'm doing more damage than Lemon and Breezu. I want to know which one of my friends I'm beating. Like, am I beating your ass or am I getting styled on? Which one of us is good at this game, friend?
Yeah.
Like, let's learn. Like, give me a damage meter.
I think it adds. I think that type of stuff adds another layer of like complication when it comes to the Monster Hunter formula of like because it's all supposed
Monster
to be
Hunter is so
cooperative.
dense, and the tutorializing of it's so poorly done, and it's all in menus, and it's all shit you read. It's
But-
like just they already don't do that part. Just give me the numbers, kid.
Yeah, no, for sure. I also like seeing numbers and stuff, so I get it. But
Like we have to
the point I'm
change
making about-
change a setting just to be able to see the raw numbers on our weapons. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They had to tell me about that to
Yeah.
turn the scaling off so you can actually see what weapon damage looks
So,
like.
you want to see the decimal points and stuff for your damage?
Or it's the coefficient thing. It's so you can actually see, you can compare the weapons accurately, their base damages against each other without any other things accounted.
Yeah. But the thing I'm saying about health bars is I know a lot of people out there, and I may get a little bit of flack for this, for the four of you out there watching our podcast.
Hey, last one got like 9.
There we go. Hey, there we go.
We love all 9 of you.
We love all 9 of you.
All of you repost it on Blue Sky next time. Let's go.
The health bar thing is something I wanted when I first played Monster
Oh,
Hunter.
for sure.
My very first time playing Monster. So I understand you and I get it. But
It's a skill issue.
I urge you to play without the health bars because it will make you a better hunter in the long run. Knowing that the monster has 400 HP isn't going to make you better.
And I
it's going to honestly
and
it's going to
I
create
could
gonna
not
make you
agree
worse.
more.
It's going to make you worse because you're going to take bad.
You're not going to learn
beginnings to
tells.
attack. You're going to take.
You're not going to learn tells.
You're going to take bad. You're going to take. Well, it's not even about the tells, but it's also like the tells for like when a monster is weak, when it's able to be captured, that type of stuff.
Oh,
yes,
no, it's or like just
lose those.
when it's aggro, when you need to be careful, when you're whether can I take this hit can I fight this because it looks like it's about to exhaust or to be stunned.
Yeah, I remember this conversation being had in World when they added the skull icon on the minimap that a monster was weak and able to be captured. It's like this is too.
I like that.
I like that. I
just like I like a little indicator.
But I
Right.
do remember the conversation of people being like, "This is appealing to the casuals, that don't watch for a monster limping away or don't."
And there's no that that's true.
Notice their damage
It's
numbers.
one of those things. It's one of those things where I really enjoy. I enjoyed that quality of life enhancement when it came
I did
to
too.
the world
Same.
because I felt that in the long term and as a whole, it helped the community because I know there was a ton of people in 4 Ultimate and Try that failed a ton of missions because they had to capture the monster and they kept attacking while the monster was like still like enraged and it hadn't finished that attack pattern
and had started limping or anything.
To start limping away. You just there was no tell that it was ready to start limping until
I think
it smacked you with its tail and knocked
I think
you away.
generally
speaking, okay, now I have a
speaking,
chance to fly away.
I think generally speaking, and again, this is going to be my bias showing and a little bit of the elitism showing, but I think that the approachability, the quality of life improvements that we got from into World, and then from World into Rise were excellent. I think across the board, that those two games did exactly what needed to be done to make the formula
I agree.
approachable enough for truly new people. I mean,
Mhm.
you know,
It was
I
my
don't,
first Monster Hunter,
yeah, World,
like
and again,
proper.
and World was, for many people considered it by far the easiest, and that at the time, and then Rise followed. And so I understand that there's a little bit of hypocrisy in, well, every veteran hunter has been calling each subsequent entry the most easy
Mhm.
for a long time, and you liked the last one. But I do think I think it's fair to say, and Jada, you can give your take because you have played so much more Monster
Mhm.
Hunter, but I do think it's fair to say that we're starting to teeter over the line a little bit where, and we can talk, I think this is a good point, place to bring it
My
in. We're kind of,
so
I'm 60, my hour counter says 70 hours. It's
mhm.
probably closer to 60, given I've spent a lot of time just running around my hub talking to people in Discord and all that junk. 60, 65
Mhm.
hours. Short of hunting for the completionism of, as Jada's doing, hunting the large and small crowns,
Mhm.
and simply picking up entirely different weapons to play, which personally, I like the weapon I play. I like what it offers. I don't feel compelled to change.
Mhm.
I understand that some people that's weird. Some people don't want to play every weapon and they're always looking forward to the next one. But I like my weapon and I like mastering it and getting better with it against harder and harder fights.
Mhm.
60 hours in, I am basically as done as you can be. I mean, I was asking Brizu and KG earlier to hop on to give me an excuse to help somebody with something because I've fought every monster, every tempered monster. I've
Mhm.
multiple times. I just today, just as an excuse to push myself, I went and did Arkveld and Gormagala tempered twice solo. Just to get through it. The first time I wanted to get through it without carding. The first time up each, I carded once because I was warming up and I'd get used to it again. Got through the second time each without carding. And like those are the hardest fights in the game, hands down, nothing close. I got them
Mhm.
down in 10 to 15 minutes each. I've crafted the Arshan weapons of every element except for ice, four of which are fully upgraded, and I have the resources to upgrade the other ones.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I have pushed basic other than just again collecting stuff to say I've collected it. I have pushed the progression of the game to its limits in 60-ish hours. And I was not even like anywhere near that 80, 90, almost 100 hours into Rise.
Yep.
And, and again, some people will say, well, you're better from one game to the next. And there's always that element of truth to that a little bit. But I, I just to compare, I've gone back into Rise over the last couple of days and I'm getting my ass beat. Like
Mhm.
this game that was talked about as the easiest, it's kicking my ass because Wilds has become so forgiving. It's taught me that I can just do some dumb shit. I don't have to pay as much attention. I don't
Mhm.
have to try as hard. I can do a lot of crazy things. And yeah, Rise just has been beating me. It's been nice to go and play a Monster Hunter and be like, oh yeah, I have to know my shit. I have to be on top of it right now. I can't turn my brain off.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
The
actually
Mhm.
very
Kuluyaku
excited to.
incident.
what was that?
What was the
The
Kuluyaku?
Kuluyaku.
Oh
Oh
yes, oh
yeah,
yeah. So my first,
the
I hopped in,
incident.
I hopped
The
in, started a
incident.
fresh save. My first monster I went to hunt the Kulu Yaku from the group hub, and I carded once. So Kulu Yaku in Monster Hunter Rise. I literally had just come off of killing a tempered Arkveld without carding once, and I hopped into Rise and got carded by a regular Kulu Yaku. Um, and part of that was I wasn't taking it very
Noob.
seriously.
Noob.
Part of it was that I was getting, getting used to some of the muscle memory and controls again. But like, it was just kind of a
Noob.
ridiculous reminder of how of how punishing Monster Hunter can be, and it was just kind of shocking. Like this is a game that and in
Mm-hmm.
other ways too. I'll get to other things about it, but I want to give other people a chance to talk because I've been ranting for a minute. So anyway,
Yeah.
anyone else want to share their thoughts on where they
Well,
feel the difficulty
the,
in this
the
that's going?
the
Because I know
short
we've
thing
all
I'll
talked about
say,
that a lot.
the short thing I'll say, because then I want to give KG, Brizu, and Lemon a chance to speak on it. But when I say that Wilds is easy, it's me comparing the those elements of those games to those elements in the past games
Same.
and scaling it. The
Mhm.
the core like low rank quests have gotten easy are always going to get easier as
Oh,
time
yeah.
goes by. That's just kind of the way it is. It's
It's
because,
the
like I said
hard
earlier,
stuff.
they're making it more approachable and such.
Yeah.
But the factor of how much easier it is I feel like scaled much further in Wilds compared to, like, if say, going from World to Rise, it got 25% easier, right? And going from 4 Ultimate to World was 30% easier or whatever. I'm probably doing the scaling numbers better. The thing is with the going from even Rise to Wilds or World to Wilds, it feels 100% easier. And the issue I have with that, and the reason why I say that, is because how they streamline the campaign, which I do like how they streamline the campaign, they remove the need to engage with, I'd say, 75% of the game's core systems.
Mm-hmm.
You do not need to worry about crafting most of the time. You do not need to worry about, and I'm talking about crafting items. You don't need to worry about crafting items most of the time. You don't need to worry about cooking and eating most of the time. You don't need to worry about crafting the best gear. You don't need to rehunt monsters to get enough parts to finish off a skill set to like hit this next tier in an ability to do better. The monster parts break easier, so like Part Breaker is very strong in this game.
Part Breaker,
But I felt like when I was playing through World and to a lesser extent Rise, I needed Part Breaker on certain hunts to break certain parts of the monster before I killed the monster.
Especially really hard ones, like on like a Diablos, like those really hard pieces, like their horns, shit like that.
Yeah, and I feel like I didn't have any need for that in Wild. So that's when I talk about getting easier, it's not just, oh, the monster doesn't hit as hard, or the monster has less HP, so it dies too fast. It's the culmination of not needing to engage in any of the systems other than walk outside, swing, weapon, monster, die.
And one last thing,
just not what Monster Hunter has ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand I'm much better at games than a lot of people, so like for me that also scales. Yes, I'm gonna brag a little bit.
No, I know. You're a Monster Hunter. You're the master here. Jada here's our highest hunter rank. She's our Giga veteran of Monster Hunter.
HR 100 yesterday, and that's with me. Like,
I'm closing on you. I'm like 89.
I've stopped playing.
I've noticed because there's nothing. So real quick, the one last thing I wanted to add on top of the point you make before, just so I get it out of my system, because we were talking about things that make it easier. I don't mind a game getting easier, especially in something like low rank. That should be approachable. That's where you learn the game. Awesome.
Yeah.
But the latter half of the game, what Monster Hunter is, for those of us who love these games that, controversial take, Monster Hunter, for all intents and purposes, is a looter shooter, or you just want to call it a looter. It's a game with a long progression system. You hunt the monster to get stronger, to hunt stronger monsters to get stronger, right? That's how you play Monster Hunter. That's the gist of it. The top end of that, in this instance, just doesn't have the meat on its bones. The stuff that should be hard, the stuff that's allowed to be hard because it's the late game, because it's the end game, just isn't. There are 2 properly good fights in Monster Hunter Wilds, in my opinion, and that's Tempered Arkveld.
And that's out of 29 monsters.
Yeah, and that's Tempered Arkveld and Tempered Gormagala. And the only fight that made any of us here go, that was fucking awesome, was our first run as a 3-man into Tempered Gormagala, because with the scaling, you're playing 3-man into 4-man scaling, and that fight, it took us 4 attempts to get through it, and when we did it, we cheered, and it was awesome. And we had one of those in the entire game.
For clarification, I was not one of those 3. Otherwise, we'd have succeeded on the first try.
Honestly, yeah, probably. But
I don't doubt that.
We had that was really one of those. And Arkveld on repeated 10 attempts has been a good fight too. But those were really the only 2 that I have any interest in fighting, because they're the best. And then I'm kind of burnt out on them. I know them like the back of my hand now.
Yeah.
So it's it's just a weird feeling to be done with Monster Hunter in under a week. And I get it. We play games, right? All of us here, even Brizu, who works, and KG, who's got shit, and people who don't do this for a job like Jada, we all put in a decent chunk of time, but regardless, it just feels weird to be done this fast. And I'm sure this isn't the first time you've had early access to a game and put in your hours, and I'm sure it still feels like you're done fast, right? Like,
there's lots of games I've played over 10 years I've been in the industry where I finish the game pre-launch most of the time because I'm reviewing it, or sometimes just because I get a spare code and I'm just like, wow, this is weird. I'm done already. Like everybody's playing in this, and like I'm not
and
experiencing it with
you
everybody.
normally
so it's
wouldn't
weird.
have that with Monster Hunter, right? Like normally you have that tail that you get to play more of and share with everyone.
Yeah, I think this is the first.
I mean, because you were basically done when we came in. I mean, by launch day, you had did you have a week to play? I don't know if you're allowed to say. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I had a good amount of time. Capcom gave us a very good lead on Monster Hunter Wilds. Okay. But I probably could have done it with much less time.
Yeah, I mean, you were telling me you were 40 hours in when you were like, yeah, I'm kind of done with everything. I mean, and that's the IGN review. Who was it that did? I don't want to get his name wrong.
Tom Marks, our deputy editor of reviews, did that.
I mean, I honestly, after going through, he said it a little bit more generously than I did, but I think, hit the nail on the head with that review. It's a great game because it's Monster Hunter, but there's something missing. It feels weird to be done already.
Yeah, his turn of phrase was they shaved a little too close to the bone.
Yep.
Which I think was a perfect a perfect just analogy, and Monster Hunter.
Let's wrap it up, guys. IGN review, go watch that. They took care.
But yeah, no, it's like we have all these nitpicks, these things that we dislike about Monster Hunter Wilds.
Still a great game.
I absolutely love the game.
Like I think that's where all of our frustration stems from. Is to me, it's like this would be a 10 if I could fight another 10 fights like Gore Magala.
Yep. And like to be fair, the good news is like they have already started rolling out event quests as of this week, which is good.
They're so wimpy. They're so wimpy.
I know.
So did we do one in like 2 minutes?
Yeah, they're very basic.
We did one in 2 minutes, like a minute 49.
It's kind of par for the course.
It's par for the course
for launch.
I know. We're just one huge missed opportunity. Why have we not gotten a second run at Zoshia? Not a single high rank Zoshia. That boss you fight at the very end of low rank is one of the best fights. It's right up there with Jin is it Din
Dahad?
Yeah.
Jin Dahad. Yeah.
Yeah, Jin Dahad. That one's always hard for me to say. Yeah, it's right up there with that as a great like raid style fight. It's really fun. You fight it once. This game, we are starved for good fights. That would be a great one to have another tempered fight of in high rank. Like,
I understand why they didn't do another Zoshia is because Zoshia. The reason why they haven't done that one is just probably narrative reasonings, because that was supposed to be the one thing, the one Zoshia kind of thing for the Guardians.
I hope they don't hold to that.
So like, no. So like, they're holding to it right now while the game is still young and players are still getting acclimated, and because it would be a little bit of a ludonarrative dissonance if it's just started popping up regularly and you can hunt it a bunch of times. There will be event quests down the road for it if I had to put money on it. Capcom is very good about reusing those monsters.
Speaking of ludonarrative dissonance, I just want to get this off my chest real quick. Hot take. This really is my hot take. I wish they wouldn't even bother with this story. I think it's wasted resources and effort. Monster Hunter is Monster Hunter. I like to go hunt monsters.
I disagree completely. I think the story is fantastic this time around.
I think they did.
It's wasted resources.
I think they did a better job, but not a good enough job to make me ever want to not skip it.
I watch the cuts. The only time I skip it is if I'm watching and playing with other people, and they
I was thoroughly bored out of my mind. I was just like, can I fight a monster, please? Oh, more cutscene. Oh, we're walking. After the first 2 hours, I was just like, okay, I'm skipping this. I need to fight monsters now. Please let me fight some freaking monsters. Like,
you gotta enjoy you gotta smell the flowers. But
I feel it's one of those games where,
or is that just like ADHD?
For me, it's one of those things where I like when games lean into their strengths. I feel like Monster Hunter is a game that could be perfect, a 10 out of 10 with no narrative. So I feel like, why bother? Why not make the rest of it better? But
because narrative is another one of those levers that they pull to make it more approachable to more people.
Yeah,
you just drop people.
Well, I think we can see where I stand on that.
Go hunt things. Like the game would be even more confusing for people. But we've been hogging the conversation.
Yes. Everybody else,
Rizu,
go say some things,
Jade,
guys.
Lemon, please talk.
Oh,
I want to eat
God.
my pizza. Please
I'm
talk.
host. Jade is the veteran. Now everybody else, get your say in, because I'm gonna slide over here.
Finally get the talking stick. Wow.
Brizu, you're the host for now. Everybody follow Brizu.
I'm the host now. Okay.
Oh god.
So I mean, the reason I think the game is too easy, it has more to do with the fact that the focus system allows you to just get so many monster parts. You only have to hunt the monster once.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of
Mhm.
designing fights where you have to learn them and fight them so many times, they're all kind of just one and dones. The only time I've really had to farm was like when I wanted to do some Arkveld. I had to fight him like 3 times to get his armor, whopping 3 times. Compare that with World, where when I wanted to craft the Puke set in low rank, I had to fight him like 5 times. Like,
Oh.
it just feels like even I, somebody who is very unlucky, has very good drops in this game. So I don't know what they're doing with that, but like I'm getting a surplus of materials.
I was
and
unluckier than you apparently because I had to fight these monsters numerous times to craft their armor
I'm
set.
swimming in like wyvern gems. Like I'll give you some, like
Oh,
I
yeah.
wish I'd take them. You know, the drops were not dropping for me this hunt or this game.
Just real quick, for all intents and purposes, Lemon, you are the newest Monster Hunter player. You've played a good bit of Rise, like what, 40 hours you'd say before you started?
Yeah, about 40,
Okay.
50.
I want to hear, like, not to interrupt you guys, but I do want to hear you
Yeah.
speak up, Lemon, say something. I want to know what your thoughts as
Okay.
as the newest
Well,
person to Monster Hunter. What do you have
as
to
the one
say
with the
about it?
littlest amount of context, and hopping back between Rise and Wilds, I liked how it is easier for low rank because I disliked how much like my weapons in Rise like either balanced or how long those early fights took. Like you experienced it too, but so I like having it easier in the front, and I do agree with you when you say that that latter half just needs to be harder. Like I liked getting stronger, and I liked getting more proficient with my weapons and wilds. I liked all the cool new moves you can do, and like I was bouncing between weapons, seeing like all the cool stuff you can do, like with insect glaive and hunting horde and dual blades. Like I love all the stylish weapons and such, but I want to like feel like I accomplished something by getting all of those stylish like points off, you know? Like once you hit the point where I'm not even build crafting, like I'm not a build crafting person. I just slap on the Arkveld set, no upgrades, no armor spheres, no nothing. I just go straight in, not optimized at all, and like we're crushing almost every fight, like under 5 minutes or under, or 15 for the 2 harder fights. But like, so I like getting powerful, and I like going back to the earlier, or I like seeing the progression. I like being able to take out the low rank or like the low high rank monsters like really easily. But then I want to use that. I want to be able to use
The
that
skills you've
power.
built up.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if
I
you
think
go
that's
Well,
where
I
I
was just
stand.
chiming in
Ah.
to
Yeah.
I think if you
I
go
think that's
back
just
and
the
try
combination
like
of
Rise, I'm sorry, if you go back and like even like further than Rise, like even just World, I think you'll appreciate just the way that those games scale in difficulty. Because like on my first time around through World, it was a bit difficult, and then when I replayed it a few years later and I kind of had a gist of it, it didn't really get hard for me until Iceborne. But Iceborne, the plateau from in difficulty, or not plateau, the game world kind of plateaus, and then in Iceborne it just shoots back up again, and then
Yeah, that
that's
spike.
where that spike is where it's good. And I remember my friend told me, he's like, "Why don't we just wait for the DLC? I'm tired of hearing all these people talk about the game being too easy." And I'm like, "That's a little bit silly. It's still probably like a year, maybe 2 out." But like, yeah, I've once we do get the DLC, I do have a feeling that it will get significantly harder, just
I
because
agree.
that's usually how they do it. Sunbreak was harder than
Yeah.
Rise, base game, Iceborne World, yada yada.
It's meant to be that way because by the
Yeah.
time that expansion comes out, it's meant to be all high rank at minimum, but mostly master, G rank, whatever they're calling it, that go around. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. And
Yeah,
like
I'm just. Oh, go ahead, Jada.
I was gonna say, the only thing I'll say is like I never felt bad about carding back in 2 try 4 ultimate. I never felt bad about getting to a new fight or a difficult fight and carding. I'm just like, okay, I need to do something different. What do I need to do? It wasn't like, oh, I don't want to play this anymore because now I don't know how to beat this monster. It was like, okay, I need to try something different. I need to get better.
tries on every monster. It's like you didn't lose the fight until
I'm talking about
lost.
I'm talking about like back in like try days. Oh, I mean, I'd cart 3 times.
Yeah, no, but like
you'd cart 3 times without even realizing.
Yeah. So, but Kiji, please.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, in regards to like the difficulty, like the friction, like we've removed so much friction that like we were slipping and sliding through low rank and high rank now, and like we're rolling through fights that I coming from World, because I didn't play Rise, there were no real sort of soft walls when it comes to high rank or low rank, where like, you know, you had monsters in World where like people, it was sort of like a water cooler moment. Like, did you fight Anjanath yet? Did you fight Baroth yet? Did you fight, you know, such and such? Where it's like these were clear monsters that sort of, whether it was aggression or mechanics, challenged the player to really test their knowledge and skill with their weapon. And that hasn't really happened with Wilds, like partially because of, you know, our experience with Monster Hunter, but also because, you know, the wound system, the focus mode, the added new moves, the monsters haven't really been balanced. In with that in mind, it feels like, and we were kind of just like rolling through both low and high rank until we got to tempered Gormagala, and I'm hoping that we get a little bit more challenge.
I'm
in, like,
hoping
the
Mizu
upcoming...
Sune kicks our shit in.
Yeah, I really am.
I'm hoping they give us a I'm hoping they give us a tempered, frenzied Guardian Mitsune that's like, you know, that's like, dude, that absolutely just dunks on, that does not relent. Like,
absolutely roided out.
Because that's the thing, is they've given us the ability to be so aggressive that the reason I think Arkveld and Gormagala are the 2 really good fights is that
especially.
Yeah, those are the only 2 monsters that consistently match your aggression. And Gormagala, a big part of that is because he's permanently enraged unless you break a part on his head while he's enraged. So that really the only monster that feels like it can match our level of aggression right now is a monster that's permanently enraged for most of the fight.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that I've also noticed, and I have no, this is all pure anecdotal evidence. I have no proof behind this, but Brizu can back me up on this as well. As a former greatsword user, I've played greatsword in every single Monster Hunter. I always pick up a new weapon, but greatsword is always kind of a backup. This is actually the first game I haven't really used greatsword, but using Charge Blade now, in the past Monster Hunter games, and Bon, you kind of alluded to this earlier, if you weren't positioned properly and you didn't time your attacks properly, the monsters you would just completely whiff attacks regularly, and that was a common occurrence.
I will have I have recorded footage right now of like I whiff so many SAEDs going into Rise.
The thing is, and like this is where the anecdotal kind of evidence comes into, is the reason for that was because in previous Monster Hunter games, the AI for the monsters would read your inputs. So it could tell, it's like, hey, they're charging
I noticed that.
They're charging a level 3 strike for the greatsword. The monster is going to move because they do that. So like you'd have to risk, okay, do I let it go a little early and only hit with the 2 charge to make sure I get the damage, or do I think it's going to actually let me hit it this time?
And a little thing like that, I don't know if this is just because Rise gave us the wirefall. You guys can tell me if this was World. But going back to Rise, and again, this could be because they gave you a recovery move with the wire bug. Monsters knock you over and on your ass constantly in a way that like just doesn't happen in Wilds. Like I am getting thrown to the ground.
It's definitely less frequent in Wilds compared to Rise and
for sure.
In World.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if that was the same in World or not. If it was different, just
But like
I don't know. I don't get knocked on my ass.
All right.
In Wilds, I wear decorations, so I prevent knockbacks.
Exactly.
Noob Bon. But I'm saying, reason you can maybe speak to this. Like, I haven't noticed that monster AI reading my inputs. It more seems that they're just standing there and ready to attack. Like they're just going in to attack. I think they are somehow more and less aggressive, but like in a dumb way.
They're consistently over. It's almost like they're consistently picking the wrong move because they're just picking a move at random. Like
It feels
I've
like
noticed,
somebody's picking up a fighting game for the first time and
like
jumping
yeah, like
into online tournament.
I've been
What
fighting a
button do
lot
I
of
do?
monsters where like I've noticed that if, especially as someone who has a shield out, you start to notice that if you play really upfront with a shield, that you start to notice how much, just because it allows you to, how much you don't need to have the shield out. You'll hold your shield out and a ton of attacks just overshoot you constantly. Like even on hard fights like Gormagal, you start getting under a monster and it's like they just don't know what move to use. Like they just swing and they just keep whiffing. Like I'll throw out attacks where I'm like, oh, I lived there, and like I didn't even know what the monster was doing, but apparently neither did he. Like you know,
yeah, and like I can I've noticed multiple times with even like Gormagal, I can just hold up a level 3 charge attack with the greatsword and just let it swing, and it'll hit something. Especially if I press the L2 button, because then I
and
just
aim it. Yep.
magnetize to it.
Yeah, you just
But
aim it with
then
the focus mode.
if I even compare it to not even just World, like even if I go back to just Generations or I go there and it's like if I even try to just throw out a random level 3 charge, they'd probably do enough damage to cart
I
me
don't
right
play.
then and there.
I don't play
Like,
Greatsword because I tried to play it when I first picked up World, and I couldn't get a single fucking level 3 charge attack off. like
you were only getting the level 3 charge attack off in World when they were sleeping, pretty much. Like you could do
or
it
like
while
when
you were fighting
when
them,
they were
but
afflicted or knocked out. Like yeah, someone had to set them up for you to do that.
You just
Like,
had to time it right. Yeah, it was like it's one of
Yeah.
those things you had to know.
yeah, and that
had
was
to
part of the
know-
mastery that makes it so satisfying. Like that's
Yes,
why I love my charge blade. Is like, you know, KG's been making fun of me as having the weapon that's just the master of everything because it's a little OP.
Swiss Army weapon.
It's very technical. Is what I say is my cope that it's hard to play, but yeah, the you know, it has that element just like the greatsword of like you have this massive attack that's a core part of your kit. It's the coolest thing you do. The camera swings back. It looks awesome. And that used to be a thing where it was like, oh, if I line this up and every file explosion goes off down the back of the monster, that was mastery. You felt like you really just like you lined it up. You felt great. And now it's like I don't miss that shit ever. Like I have to like be screwing around and not trying to miss that, like because it's not an issue now.
Well, as we know, Bon, as we all know, my weapon's actually the yours is the
You're cutting out pretty soon. I don't know why.
Okay, I
You're
thought it
being
was just me.
silenced by
censored.
No,
Capcom.
you're cutting
no.
out.
So as we all know, my weapon is the hardest. Yours is the easiest.
Oh yeah,
That's the rule. That's the rule. Yours is easy. Mine's hard.
That's
Play a
true.
real
That's
play a
true.
real weapon.
that's true.
Like the hunting horn.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like the dual blades.
Charge blade master race. Charge blade for life. Sorry. It
Until
does it
your
all.
Swiss Army knife, you know.
Hey, I mean, it does it all. It's the jack of
enjoy
all.
your cheat button.
It's the jack of all, master of all. You know, it's.
Very
Can I
balanced.
say?
Very
Jada
balanced.
can confirm. I
yeah.
mean, she's been using it. It's
Jack of all
busted as
trades,
hell.
master of none.
Yeah.
No, it's the master of everything. You wish it was the master of
Yeah.
none.
It's the master of landing status effects. Paralysis on a charge blade is just.
I'm not running
Oh.
paralysis because paralysis with an impact file, slugger, and critical status, the monster will never get up again.
Yep.
like
Yep,
I'm like
yep,
I
come
want
on,
I
go
I
proc
literally
monster.
Tuck 'em in.
Come on.
yeah, like I'm literally that's where the game is at right now. I am like self administering like challenges.
Regulating.
Yeah, I'm like self-regulating. I'm like making it so that like to make that so I can actually have a decent fight with the monster. I'm not building what I know would be the strongest thing for me because it'd just be unfair. He wouldn't get up again.
I've got a buddy right now that I was playing with in pre-launch that is at the point I think he's hunter rank 300 right now.
How do you even have?
Oof.
What do you have? What do you even do? Do you just like?
He did a lot of I think he's already got the platinum trophy. He did all the crown hunting and stuff like that. He's lately what he's been doing is just min-maxing his build for Sword and Shield to kill things as fast as possible. His current time is sub 3 minutes. I think it's 2 minutes 42 seconds,
Ooh.
and it's killing a tempered Odogaron and a tempered Jiwei, the other octopus monster.
Zuwu.
Killed. I think they pronounce it like Jiwei or something like that in the game in the cutscene.
They maybe.
It looks
I know.
like
I know it's spelled
Yeah.
XUWU, right? Like
Yes, but yeah, I believe it's pronounced differently. I have to go rewatch the cutscene.
it's Chinese,
yeah,
I think. So yeah, I'm probably getting the pronunciations wrong.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
Chinese, it's not Zuwu.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not Zulu. But yeah, it's the second cephalopod monster you fight. But yeah, he has gotten down, killing both of those solo Sword and Shield in just over 2.5 minutes, and that's including like that's from the moment the quest starts. So like the run up to the quest and everything.
Lemon and I did a
Damn.
tempered Rathian, tempered Cumatrice, the big fire chicken. We did that we did that in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
I think and I mean it's crazy. Like now I've gotten even further since then. It's like now I'm at the point where it's like I went and built the best Arshan like charge blade for every element so that I can just pick one. Like, oh, what monster am I fighting? Okay, grabbing this one for the element. Like, it's just absurd at this point. Like, I guess I'm ready for the update.
All right, so we've tried to talk down on it a little bit. Let's close this sandwich up with a little bit of positivity.
It's still a great freaking game. It's so much fun because it's Monster Hunter. I've loved playing it with you guys. It's been great having friends to play it with. It's been just a ton of fun shooting the shit, hunting monsters. And there have been, the armor looks awesome. The game, when you get the settings all dialed in, looks pretty damn nice.
What is your favorite monster that is not Arkveld or Gormagala? Because
Uthduna.
If you're not picking up Uthduna?
Yep.
Okay.
I think he looks cool, and I like the way he does his big belly flop. And I like monsters that give me a cool looking using my charge blade. I like the shield clash.
Uthduna popping back out of like the giant lake up there in area 15 or whatever.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
It reminds me of like a heavier weight person like coming out of the pool, like finally.
He's a fat ass. He's a fat ass. It's hilarious. I love it.
It's great. It's great. It's such a
I wish there was like a harder version of him, because like it seems like the tempered variants seem to be about their difficulty seems to be in line with the order you face them in the original campaign.
Yeah.
So he's like the second one.
We need an tempered Uthduna.
Yeah, so he's a little easy, but I do like him.
Are coming down the road, so we know that's going to be coming. But yeah, all right, Uthduna. Lemon, how about you? What's your favorite monster?
Jindahad.
Jindahad,
like easy. Yeah, honestly,
Lemon's
I saw
been
it
doing
first.
the dual blades.
Dude, I love doing the dual blades on it. It's so fun, just going through its entire body. Yeah,
so long. It's great.
Yeah, and then I like the armor set too. So Jindahad for sure.
Oh yeah, I love that armor set. I had that. Like,
Lemon has one of the best fits I've seen so far. Lemon did
the drip is immaculate.
Lemon's drip is immaculate. I will say.
I expect nothing less from Lemon. Me and Lemon have to get online and take some pictures together. My trip goes as well. KG, how about you?
Well, Lemon kind of stole my first choice with Jindahad. I love Jindahad.
It's a good fight.
Sort of like
it's
a raid.
It's the one like raid fight. That's why I want Zoshia. That's the one other boss with a raid attack.
Like I know people are mixed, like in the Monster Hunter community, about like the wipe mechanics.
Those people are wrong.
And it's
awesome. No, those people wipe mechanics.
The wipe mechanics.
Insta wipe.
Oh yeah.
If you
That's fine. We got
you can't figure out how to pull the boulders down.
Yeah,
bro. I struggled with it more than anybody here, and I love that shit.
I actually saw.
I love that shit.
I saw there was a Reddit thread of people having issues of like, how do I dodge this attack? It just kills me, or like the first time you hunt it, Gemma tells you. I think it's Gemma tells you.
Yeah, they literally tell you.
Or Olivia, one of the two. Whoever.
I wasn't listening to anybody.
Tells you
when you skip all the dialogue.
I was just hitting monsters. Yep.
Yeah, it's difficult when you skip all the dialogue. They didn't tell me
Mhm.
until I died that the tooltip popped up. Like, hey, the falling ice boulders. You gotta
And I think I
pull those
ignored the
down to
tooltip the
not
first
die.
time, so I was just like, it took me.
Bond did. He almost carded us when we did that mission. He almost made
Yeah.
us fail the mission.
I've carded against it once because I tried to perfect parry it with the charge blade.
Yeah, I no,
I tried to
Damn
just do
it,
a
you
dive.
I-
I tried to just do a dive.
I
Of course, you and your charge blade users.
if this was Rise, you would have the I can't remember the full name of it. It's like perfect point defense, but it's like
Mhm.
it was a Silkbind move where you drop the shield like a tower shield, you plant it into the ground. It could take any hit in the game and you'd take no damage, and it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
If it was possible, I would do it because in World with Teostra's like little Nova Blast,
Yep.
doing
Oh
like a
my
foresight
God.
slash to like perfect dodge that felt
Like,
so
you know what would be really
satisfying.
cool is like if the lance or the charge. I wouldn't expect this for the charge blade because it'd be OP, but like if the lance could like create like a proper shield wall for raid mechanics, so teammates could stand behind it. Like
Mhm.
that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. And like we've done white mechanics like this before. Like
Yep.
I the first one I remember off the top of my head is the Behemoth fight, the crossover with Final Fantasy. And that there were a lot of let's just say there was a lot of mission quest fails
Oh,
because
there's
of people not knowing
Yep.
not knowing
Mhm.
that mechanic.
Mhm.
Like we're
Yeah, I
doing
bet.
fine for the whole time and then triple cart like right
Skill
2
issue.
minutes in.
Well dead right there.
Play MMOs. Raiders know what's up.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that would be like my first pick.
Okay.
Second pick, probably I really like Doshiguma. I don't know what it is about
That ratty looking thing, that is
I
wild.
love that little
You might
bear.
have
I love that bear.
Doshiguma is
The
in my top
bear
5.
monkey
It's in
thing.
my top 5.
I do
That's
like
valid.
Doshiguma because
like
he's using. I do
Doshiguma.
like Doshiguma because he's using one of the rigs from Rise of the. There were 2 different models or 3 in Rise
Yeah, I
that
love
used
that
I just
that.
think
little
he looks
teddy bear,
stupid.
I
Um,
love how stupid he looks. He's like a bear
Yeah.
pug or something.
he's a bear and
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's like a bear and like a mole, right? He's got like the
yeah.
yeah.
Just so
I thought he was
fun.
like a
So fun to
red-faced
fight.
monkey.
Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be
I thought he was
no.
no, I thought he was
Oh,
like a mole, like he has no
Well,
like
like
eyes on the front.
the coloring, like the bald face and like the long
okay.
orange fur.
Yeah.
Oh, like a blue ass baboon, yeah.
Not a bad. This
Very different.
That would be
Very
like
different.
Very different.
It's literally a
What about
red-faced
you, Breezy?
monkey.
If we're going by design, I really like the design of God, what's his name though? Lalabarina.
Okay.
I really
I do like
that one.
Lalabrina. I wish that fight wasn't so easy because it's a
But
cool
then
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then I'm a simple man. My favorite one to fight still Rathalos. I love fighting
Wait,
Rathalos.
Rathalos or Guardian
Can't go
Rathalos?
wrong.
I'm a simple man. I just love Rathalos.
Rathalos is
Not
cool.
even
Can't
Guardian.
go wrong with
Honestly,
the
Guardian
classic.
Rathalos pisses me off. He's a little annoying.
Give this man a Rathalos to fight.
Exactly.
I hunted Rathalos and
Simple man,
Rathian to
simple needs.
extinction as soon as I hit high
Hey.
rank.
Hey, it's the flagship monster for the franchise for a
I
reason.
always get my Rathalos and
Yeah.
Rathian armor and weapon first and foremost. What about you, Jay? Did you already say your favorite? Am I having
No,
a
I
stroke?
haven't said mine.
I know
No,
before
my-
you said Jindahad, but
Yeah, I know. I really like Jindahad. My favorite is a toss up. I really like Radha, and I really like New Udra. I love that. I love chopping off 6 tentacles off of this
I really like
cephalopod.
Udra too.
It
That-
is so fun. To
only
just
found
go
out the
around.
other
he always
day you
sets
could
me
chop
on
them off.
fire. He's obnoxious.
It doesn't bug me with Charge Blade because I just block it all. Like you just block all the fire.
Yeah, but he's squishy, so I don't feel the need to put my shield up. I just want to cut him constantly, and then I'm like, damn it, I should have blocked. Damn it, I should have blocked. Damn it, I should. Like, there's something about monsters that are like just easy to like hit, and they don't have a bunch of bounce points or a bunch of armor. That I'm like, just let me cut him up, and then he like knocks me down.
I did notice that in this one as well. There's a lot less monsters that have those harder
Just
like
fucking
points on
Gravios.
their body.
It's just Gravios.
It's just Gravios,
Gravios.
that bastard.
There's one other one.
Jindahad
that
has a couple parts.
And Jindahad, yeah. Gravios and Jindahad has those points on their body where if you don't have a high enough sharpness, your weapon bounces off. And there's no other real monsters in the game that had that. Where I feel like a lot of previous games, there was a good chunk of them. It's like
in
oh,
Rise,
crap, my
Kulu
weapon only
Yaku
has
holds a
range.
rock. He holds a rock
Yep.
that you bounce off of.
Yep.
It's like first monster in the game.
Yep. It's like, oh no, my weapon's only green.
Bastard.
I probably need to upgrade this to at least blue so I can cut through this armor.
Or it's like, let me pick up
hide
Mind's
armor.
Eye, like
Yeah,
when are we ever
exactly.
picking up Mind's Eye?
Never.
I never had
No need.
no need
No
whatsoever
need.
for like all these monsters.
Real quick, so now that we've all talked about everybody's favorite monster, what's everybody, just for, I don't know, anyone who's listening, what's everybody using other than like Charge Blade, or other than their weapon? I'm using the Charge Blade and stuff, but like, what's everyone going for thematically or build wise? Jada, you were talking about you're going for like, you're just paralyzing the shit out of them,
Oh, it's
right?
permanent paralysis with Wex, which is weakness exploit for those not
Mhm.
fully deep into the Monster
Yeah,
Hunter
yeah,
lore.
I'm all in on
Would
weakness
like-
exploit.
And then a little bit of flare, because that skill is just OP as shit in wilds. Flare makes wounds
That's what
happen
I've
more
heard.
obvious. Makes wounds open easier, does more damage to wounds, and then if you're getting it off of the at least two pieces off of Arkveld, the Guardian
Yeah.
Arkveld set, then you're healing off of every time
Yeah,
you break
wound
a
hits,
wound. So
yeah,
it's just
Yeah.
it's extremely overpowered. But I love it. So
I'm rocking right now. I'm doing so in lieu of what I talked about, because I don't want to keep the monster perma stunned, and Jada's already got that for when we're grouped up. I've gone for like a full crit and element build. So like I've got it to where when my buffs are up, I can get to 93% affinity with everything as long as I'm playing well. It's not even that hard to maintain. If Lemon's playing Hunting Horn or anyone's playing Hunting Horn and they drop their affinity bubbles, I basically have 100% affinity at all times. It's kind of disgusting. And then I'm running all elemental, and then I'm doing the Gormagala set where you self-inflict frenzy, and then you clear it, and then I have stacks of coalescence and antivirus, which both buff me for getting rid of it, which it automatically does. And then I'm all weakness element or 5 stacks of weakness exploit.
I imagine
element.
you're probably running resentment and resuscitate as well.
Nope.
No, those also help with those. Like resuscitate pops while you have the frenzy because it's a status effect.
What does resuscitate do? Is that I've only got
it's bonus damage as long as you have a status ailment.
Oh, okay. No, so the issue with mine is that you cleanse it with the armor makes it so that when you attack enough, well, that's just how frenzy works. When you attack, you cleanse it.
Oh, I know. I'm saying, but like the resentment, the resuscitate could boost your. It's something to test. It could boost your damage while you're waiting to clear it, while you're working towards.
They've made it really fast. Like that's why because I've been looking at stuff where I'm like, oh, this would be kind of cool, and I'll definitely take a look at that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how fast you're clearing your frenzy. I mean, if you're clearing it in like
the way
10 seconds
with antivirus, with 3 antivirus on it, which is full, it's literally like you get like you get your files charged up and your shield out, and it's like you're clear. It's very fast. But yeah. So what are you doing, Brizu?
I'm not.
Other than hitting them with a big sword.
I'm not really running a build. I haven't had a reason to. I'm just running the Gala set, but I just have the rarity 8 paralysis greatsword just because it procs pretty often.
Yeah,
and it does. I just have a couple jewels that make it proc a little faster and a little better. That's about it.
And KG.
Fair enough. For me, I just got the Guardian Ebony Odogaron set. And that one's been really good. I think it's, full burst, a couple pieces of flare, because that's really good. And the set bonus is boosting burst even more, the attack bonus for hitting monsters consistently. And for weapons, I've been sort of bouncing around since I got to high rank, both the bow guns, hunting horn, got into the sword and shield and really enjoying this game with the focus mode and
sword
the
and
new
shield
abilities.
Is very strong.
Very, very strong. I felt it immediately with all the new moves and stuff. And I think I'm gonna pick up, I want to say greatsword or longsword in the near future, just to get a feel for those. Got to get good with the flagship weapon of Monster Hunter. it's a rite of passage.
Well,
Everybody should play the Great Sword once.
and because we were talking
Yeah.
about trying to end things on a positive note, for all the negative things I've had to say about it and all the issues I will say about it in my video that I make on it, I can't lie. I kind of want to go play some more Monster Hunter right now. I'm thinking,
No, for
man,
sure.
I want an excuse to do it, and that still is a little bit annoying. So I might play some Rise instead. But like, it's Monster Hunter's great. I want to play more Monster Hunter. The crux of the
Yeah,
issue is
yeah.
we all want more Monster Hunter, and we just kind of to different levels agree on what made that feel like we didn't quite get enough this time around. But still an
Yeah, it's
awesome
all coming
game.
from a place of passion,
Yeah, I mean, it's still
Mhm.
again, I think it says something about Monster Hunter in general that a game I think is pretty deeply flawed, all things considered, is incredible and still like an 8, at minimum. Like I think, I won't
Yeah.
go higher because I think, there's room for it to been better and it'll get better. But yeah, I think it's a great game. My only complaint is give me my fucking wire bug back, man. Give me the wire bug. Give me the
Never
wire
seeing it
bug.
again.
Give
You're
me my
never seeing
movement.
it again.
We're in the biggest environments ever, and we don't have a cool way to move through them. And you might go, well, the Sacred's kind of cool. No, the Sacred is like if the Palamute was lame. You want to know why? Because when you do the little drift on the Sacred, you don't get a speed boost. If KG and I tested this, if you're drifting side by side with someone just running in a straight line, you move the exact same distance in the same time. There's no gain at all. On the Palamute, you got a measurable, lasting speed boost when you did your little dash. Give me some movement back, Capcom, please. That's all I ask.
Spawn, they hear you, and they understand.
Please.
They're bringing back the clutch claw.
No, just give me the wire bug. Like they have the wedge beetles,
the clutch
like
claw, baby.
hanging from the wedge beetles. Like there's actually a good like momentum and swing to it. Like come on, like we're so close. Just let me have my wire bug. That's all I want.
You're
So
gonna
man.
close.
tinderwire. You're gonna
They're
And
tenderize
bringing
those
back
wounds.
underwater
People-
combat just because you
And people will be like, oh, my biggest complaint with not having my wire bug is that the reason people didn't like it for the most part in Rise, or the people that didn't like it, is because it was one of the large contributors to making the game easier. But Wilds is so much easier than that. That is no longer an excuse. Give me my damn wire bug. That's all I have to say.
Good night,
giving it a
folks.
wire bug would make it easier.
Good night, folks. Bring the wire bug back.
Go try Monster Hunter Wilds. You'll probably like it.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
honestly, and if you don't,
Not
it's
bad.
a full price game, and there's other stuff to play. If you haven't played Rise yet, I'm pretty sure it's on Game Pass. It's on PlayStation Extra. If you feel like you're missing out because a bunch of other people are all playing Wilds around you, and you feel like you're not getting that experience, you are not missing out if you're going through Rise for the first time. We're playing. Lemon and I
even
were
World.
playing it again. Yeah, or
There's
even
lots
World.
of good stuff to go through World and Rise. It's
Yep,
great
those
content.
games, honestly, I'm one of those people where oftentimes I'm like, well, I have the new thing. Why would I go
I
back?
play the old one. Monster Hunter is
Yeah.
totally different though.
Monster Hunter is one of the few things where I'm like, that doesn't really hold up. These games are awesome still. So don't feel like you're missing out if you can't pick it up yet. But if you can, it's certainly a good game. I think that's
Yeah.
it from me and it from everybody else, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this episode's just
Yeah.
gonna be called Number One Rise Shield tries to convince people.
Real Japanese man tries to convince. Look, I have the shirt on. It says Japan. I'm wearing the yukata. Like we're going.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Would've thought I was
All
wearing a
right, that's
Japan
it for
shirt.
us, and we will see y'all next time in the garden.
Deuces.
Peace.
Peace.